stood by him when he had nothing. I sacrificed my dreams so he could rise. But the day he finally succeeded, he looked at me and said, "You are no longer good enough." This is my story. I grew up in a lively Nigerian city where the markets never slept and laughter floated easily through the air. That was where my story with Chike began. We were young then, secondary school students with big dreams and empty pockets. I remember his smile clearly, the confidence in his voice whenever he spoke about the future. Even back then, I believed he would become someone great. What I didn't know was how much of myself I would pour into that belief. Chike wasn't just my husband. For many years, he was my purpose. When we decided to walk this life together, I made a quiet promise to myself. I would stand by him no matter what. While others doubted him, I encouraged him. When school fees became a burden, I worked harder. When he lost confidence, I reminded him who he was. I sacrificed my own dreams so his could breathe. I remember the joy the day he got the university scholarship. We celebrated like we had won the lottery. I took on small jobs, selling food, sewing, helping wherever I could, so he wouldn't feel the pressure. When our children came, Dia first, then Chijioke, my world expanded and tightened at the same time. I was tired, yes, but I was fulfilled. I believed we were building something together. When Chike finally graduated and got a good job, I thought our struggles were ending. I didn't realize they were only changing shape. Success changed him, slowly at first. New friends, new clothes, late nights, boardroom conversations that didn't include me anymore. He stopped asking for my opinion. The man who once leaned on me now barely looked at me. I told myself it was stress, that things would settle. I wanted to believe that love like ours couldn't just disappear. Then came Efe. I didn't know her at first. I only felt her presence in Chike's absence. Nights grew longer, excuses grew shorter. When I finally confronted him, I wasn't prepared for the words that followed. He looked at me, not with anger, not with guilt, but with superiority. He told me I no longer fit into his world, that I wasn't educated enough, that I needed support instead of giving it. Every word felt like a slap. I stood there, shaking, thinking of the years I had spent lifting him up, the nights I stayed awake praying for his success, the dreams I had buried. That night, something broke in me, but something else was born. I cried, yes. I questioned myself. I felt small, but I refused to remain broken. My family reminded me of who I was before I became Chike's wife. My friends reminded me that sacrifice does not equal foolishness. I looked at my children and knew I had to rise, not for revenge, not for pride, but for survival. I went back to school. It wasn't easy. I sat in classrooms with younger people. I doubted myself many times, but every page I read, every skill I learned felt like I was reclaiming stolen pieces of myself. I discovered abilities I never knew I had. I started a small business. It grew slowly, honestly, and steadily. For the first time in years, I felt proud of myself, not because of who I was married to, but because of who I was becoming. My children noticed the change before anyone else. Dia became more confident, Chijioke smiled more, our home became peaceful again, not because everything was perfect, but because it was real. Then one day, Chike returned, not as the man I once married, but as someone humbled by life. His relationship with Efe had ended. The glamour faded, the loneliness remained. When he stood before me, asking for forgiveness, I saw regrets, but I also saw growth. I forgave him, not because he deserved it, but because I deserved peace. I told him clearly, I would never shrink myself again. I would never beg for respect. We would raise our children together, but my journey was now my own. He agreed, quietly, respectfully. For the first time in years, he listened. Today, we co-parent with understanding. We communicate. We heal slowly. Some scars remain, but they no longer control me. I am educated, I am independent, I am strong, and most importantly, I am whole. If there is one thing my story has taught me, it is this. A woman's value is not measured by her certificates or her silence, but by her strength, her sacrifice, and her ability to rise after being broken. I loved deeply. I was hurt deeply. But I rose stronger than I ever imagined. If this story touched your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Like this video, share it with someone who needs strength today, and subscribe for more real-life stories that inspire healing, growth, and hope. Tell me in the comments, what part of my story spoke to you the most and where you're watching from.